Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the most must-see wrestling podcast somewhere, anywhere in the world. I'm Freddie Court, back again here on Mark's side of the ring, and there, as always, is a lot to talk about in the world of professional wrestling and or sports entertainment. Big weekend that we just had with Extreme Rules. Personally, I thought one hell of a pay-per-view. I know the finish of the main event has been a little controversial among wrestling fans. Some people thought it was good. A lot of people did not like it. But nonetheless, a successful WWE pay-per-view, another one in the books, now onward to Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, but a lot more in between. To start things off, going back to the pay-per-view again, Extreme Rules this past Sunday. I thought it was a solid show. I thought everybody really put on a great performance. A lot of people, went out, had a lot of time, which is always good. Nothing felt rushed. I was glad to see Liv Morgan got the win on the pre-show against Carmella. Well-deserved, obviously. I was hoping the Street Profits would win the tag titles, but at the same time, I think it's the right call to have the Usos keep them, while they're, in the bloodline. It makes sense to have them be the champions along with Roman as the Universal Champion. But, solid show from top to bottom. Damian Priest, Jeff Hardy, and Sheamus, one hell of a match there. And then the next night on Raw, those guys, I hope they're getting paid well, because they are earning every cent of what they are getting paid out there. Just great physicality. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss is a huge topic to talk about. Charlotte Flair beat Alexa to retain her Raw Women's Championship. And I wasn't sure how that one was going to go, but I could have seen Alexa winning, but I couldn't see Charlotte losing. And sure enough, she didn't. But the bigger story was at the end, the doll, Lily, being ripped apart, and Alexa just a mess. She was in tears and very angry. She had a thing in her mouth, I think, to help her foam at the mouth, like to show how angry she was, and it didn't really work out, unfortunately. I think that would have been a cool added element, but live TV, pal. So unfortunately that didn't work. But yeah, so the story now going on is that she is going to be taking some time off. She's having some kind of sinus surgery done for whatever, that's going to be about, but she's going to take some time off. I hope when she comes back, we see her back as, old school Alexa Bliss, 5 Feet of Fury kind of thing, which they alluded to in the promos. Charlotte alluding to her being championship caliber back in the day, but not currently. So I think that would be cool. I think this character, as good as it was, and she's done a great job at it, I think it's ran its course, especially since Bray Wyatt's been gone and is not coming back, unfortunately. There's really no purpose, I don't think, for that character anymore. It worked great when she was helping build the story with Randy Orton. And then she did the turn at Mania, and, that's gone nowhere, obviously. So I think it's time. I think it's time to move on. Had its run. She was very good at it, but, let's move on. But anyway, I was speaking of the women's division. I was very excited that Shayna Baszler once again taking out another member of the roster. This time, Eva Marie. The week before was her own tag team partner, Nia Jax. And we are seeing the vicious side of Shayna that we have not seen in over a year. She has to be a future number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. We saw Charlotte have the open challenge, and Doudrop, accepted it, and Charlotte won. But I think, be it Crown Jewel, if the women do perform at Crown Jewel, or another time, Shayna and Charlotte, man, that's going to be money, especially the way they're building Shayna back up. I'm very excited about that. On the SmackDown side of things, with the Women's Championship, Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch put on a hell of a match. Great match between the two. Ended in disqualification because of the return of the boss. That's right, the Blueprint. The boss, Sasha Banks, back. Everybody was wondering where she's been. Well, here she is. And now things are really interesting because you have Becky back from her, original return, filling in for Sasha. And now you have Sasha, Becky, and Bianca, all three. So that's got to lead to a triple threat, which I'm very excited about. I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow night on SmackDown. This is being recorded, as always, or usually on a Thursday. So, very excited to see where that goes. Big fan of all three ladies. I think they've been, but not Becky because she's been gone, but Bianca and Sasha have been carrying the women's division for a while, and Becky's been killing it since she came back. I'm starting to get into the heel character that she's portraying. But yeah, be exciting to see what lies ahead now. We have the Universal Championship at the pay-per-view. Roman Reigns and the Demon, Finn Balor. They killed it. They absolutely killed it. In my opinion, match of the night. No surprise there. They went into the crowd, and I really thought it was a cool element. When Roman went into the crowd, he had Paul Heyman give him a mask. Now, this could be for legit protection, or it could have been like part of his character. Like, I'm not going to these people without a mask on. I don't trust these, people here in Columbus, Ohio. But whatever the reasoning, it was phenomenal. I thought it really actually added to it instead of like taking away from it. Like, I thought it was really cool. It gave a sense of realism to it. And it went with his character, It seemed kind of cocky, right, to put his mask on by the people. But just great Extreme Rules match. The finish, as I alluded to before, was very controversial. The Demon was on the ropes, and all of a sudden the rope went out, and the ring didn't break, but the rope collapsed, or whatever you want to phrase it, however. And Roman got the win. I liked how they didn't make it like Roman orchestrated that, or at least they didn't yet. We don't know what's going to happen on SmackDown. And they kind of made it like it was just like a ring malfunction. They didn't make it like Paul Heyman did it, or, Roman paid the ring crew to do this. I mean, who knows? Maybe they will again. Maybe they will on Friday. But as of now, they didn't. So I'm curious to see, how they address that on Friday. Does this lead to another match with Finn Balor? I mean, Brock is obviously Roman's opponent at Crown Jewel already. But in between that, after that, who knows? He definitely has a viable reason to have another shot at the championship, being that the ring gave out on him. That's not fair. So I'm curious to see where it goes, but obviously, Roman, again, killing it. Finn Balor putting on a great match. No surprise there. I thought those guys really tore it up, and I wouldn't mind another one or two between them. So we'll see what happens, what lies ahead for the Universal Championship. But yeah, we have Crown Jewel coming up now. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Saudi Arabia. That's going to be one hell of a match. I'm excited about that. And then you have, before you know, Survivor Series will be around the corner. I have the pleasure, I'll be going to Survivor Series Raw the night after, Barclays Center. Their big return to the Barclays. So that's going to be cool. The rumors of The Rock. So a lot of exciting times ahead in the world of pro wrestling. Raw on Monday was, I thought, another really solid Raw. These last couple of weeks have been really, really solid. I think, be it AEW, be it whatever, there is something that's causing them to really make Raw better and better, or at least they're trying to. They had the 6-man that opened up Raw that ended up getting stopped, but all leading to a steel cage one-on-one, Bobby Lashley and Big E for the WWE Championship. And they had a great match. I thought it was really well done. I'm happy Big E won. I don't think Lashley looked bad at all. I'm curious to see where he goes in the draft, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But Big E obviously needs to hang on to that belt. But the bigger story for me was after you had Roman Reigns. I'm not sorry, Roman Reigns. Drew McIntyre came out and pointed his sword at him, and it like kind of acknowledged that he was challenging, Big E next, and Big E's like, "Bring it on." And Roman again. Drew smiled and nodded, and Big E smiled and nodded. So, yeah, I'm all about that. I wasn't expecting that. So anytime you get something you weren't expecting, it's kind of cool. Yeah, I think Drew and Big E for the WWE Championship is great. Does this mean Drew's going to turn heel? There had been some rumblings that maybe he would, but they weren't sure. I felt like Drew had to go to SmackDown because I felt like he had ran his course on Raw, but now maybe not, right? Now, if he's feuding with Big E, maybe not. So we'll see. I'm assuming the match will happen at Crown Jewel. Big E and Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship, but I don't know for sure. And then where does that leave Bobby Lashley? Well, I'm sure a lot of fans weren't too happy about this, but Goldberg did a via satellite segment and basically said that he's coming after Lashley. He even said he was going to kill Lashley, which I'm surprised they let him say on air because that's a big no-no, like that you're going to threaten to kill somebody on TV. They don't usually allow that. So I was kind of surprised that got over with Vince and company, but it did. And so I'm assuming that means it's going to be Goldberg and Lashley one-on-one at Crown Jewel. And obviously not for the title, which should make some fans at least happy that he's not going for the championship again. But I think it makes sense. I mean, Goldberg and Lashley, why not do another one between them? Lashley is now out of the title picture for the time being. Gives him something to do, another big match. There's a story there already with his son from SummerSlam, so it makes sense. So I'm not against it at all, So Crown Jewel, no surprise, could be a really solid card based on everything that's going on, NXT on Tuesday was quite the interesting show. There's been some talk that they were going to let the show be a little more aggressive and a little more TV-14, if you will. And it certainly was. There was the honeymoon segments with Index and the Garganos, and if you saw it, how that went down. But there's been some language, use that isn't obviously allowed on the other programs. So yeah, why not? I mean, it's a little little more under the radar than Raw and SmackDown is, so they might as well, right? I mean, can't hurt to push the envelope a little bit on NXT and make that one be the more edgier show. So I'm all about that. I thought NXT, I'm enjoying the 2.0. I think they're doing a really great job showcasing a lot of young talent. Braun Breaker is a star. I mean, he's a star. He'll be champion within a few years. He has to be. And that was speaking of the language. That's what I was referencing. He said like shit in a promo. I mean, doesn't sound like a big deal, but they don't allow you to say shit on Raw and SmackDown, right? So in the scheme of things, it is a big deal. So I'm curious to see where he goes. What NXT people will be getting called up from after the draft, right? With them going back now to kind of roots of this is where you get built to go up to the main roster. What's going to happen? Are they showcasing all this new talent because some guys are leaving? Who knows? Are some of these brand new guys that just debuted on NXT going to get called up already? Like Braun Breaker. I wouldn't debut him yet. I wouldn't keep him in NXT too long, but I wouldn't debut him right yet. Let him get a little bit of, experience and build on NXT and then go to the main roster. But the draft, that's what I want to talk about next. The draft is going to be starting tomorrow night on SmackDown. If you're watching this on Saturday or Sunday, whatever, Friday night's night one has already happened. Night 2 will be Monday on Raw. It's a 2-night draft. I love the draft every year. It freshens things up. As Vince McMahon iconically said in 2004, it's time to shake things up again. Who knew then that that would be in the promo for the next 20 years, but it sure is and probably always will be. The draft's hard to call. There's certain moves that I think should be made. One of those prior to Monday was Drew McIntyre going to SmackDown. I said they need to put Drew on SmackDown. He's done on Raw. But now with him challenging Big E for the title, because the story was that as long as Bobby Lashley was champion, he couldn't challenge for it, right? But now he can because Bobby Lashley is not the champion. So that adds a whole new element. So I'm not so like, well, Drew's got to get drafted to SmackDown. Maybe not anymore. I wouldn't be mad if he got drafted to SmackDown, but I'm not saying he needs to get drafted to SmackDown anymore at the same time. I think Roman, number one, stay on SmackDown. SmackDown is obviously the A show now, whether people like it or not. It's a hard night because it's Fridays, but it's Fox. It's prime time on network television. It's the A show. Raw is still Raw. Even though Raw can be hard to get through, it's been better the last couple of weeks. So, but I don't see Raw getting obliterated with no talent because they obviously are trying to build Raw back a little bit and give it some, more credibility. So I do see Raw having some big names. I mean, does Lashley stay? Does he go? I wouldn't mind seeing Lashley on SmackDown because I would like a Lashley Roman Reigns match eventually. They're both heels, I know, but somehow, some way that match could happen. But at the same token, I would love to see another Roman and Drew. I mean, they had that killer of a match at Survivor Series last year when it was brand versus brand. So I'm very, excited to see either of those matches. So if either Drew or Bobby Lashley gets drafted, that's a big move. Randy Orton, Riddle, RK Bro, do they get drafted together? I don't think they'll split them up. I don't think they should yet. I mean, the team's obviously over. They could stay on Raw. They could move to SmackDown. They swap the titles, but I feel they did that last year or 2 years ago. They did it, maybe. I forget. So it gets kind of old when they swap titles. They could swap the Raw and SmackDown tag team titles. They could do it, again, U.S. and Intercontinental. They could put Shinsuke on Raw. Shinsuke's never been on Raw. Put Damian Priest on SmackDown. I wouldn't mind Damian Priest on SmackDown. U.S. title goes to SmackDown. Raw gets the Intercontinental title back. It was like that a few years ago. I think Damian Priest going to SmackDown would be a good move. Gives him another show. But at the same time, he hasn't been on Raw that long. He debuted in January, right? So, it's tough. These guys, when they go back and forth, like Sheamus got drafted to Raw last year from SmackDown. So does he go back again? Like, how many times do you move one guy back and forth? I do think that, Sheamus has been killing it every week, whether he was U.S. champ or not. So I want him, whatever show he ends up on, to continue to have a pretty damn good role on the show. I want him to be featured, maybe not main event. He doesn't need to be. I wouldn't mind if he was, but definitely in the upper echelon, So I'm excited to see where he goes. Like I said, Damian Priest, you got Jeff Hardy's been involved with the U.S. title. He can, I could see him on back on SmackDown. He was on SmackDown last year. So it'll be interesting to see. I think, the draft is always fun. There's so many different, options. I wanted to do a mock draft, but that didn't pan out, unfortunately. But it's going to be fun to see, where everybody ends up. We'll know somewhat tomorrow night on Friday. We'll know more on Monday. But yeah, I'm excited to see where things go, because then you have Survivor Series, like I said before. And if they do brand versus brand stuff, that'll be interesting. Guys that were on SmackDown will now could be fighting for Raw, and guys that were on Raw could be fighting for SmackDown. It's interesting. One big name that I'm curious what they do with is Seth Rollins, because he's obviously involved with his feud with Edge still. And Edge, I guess, is a SmackDown guy now. He was Raw, and then he went to SmackDown when he won the Rumble. I don't really know how they treat Edge, if he's kind of like John Cena was a few years ago, where he's like a free agent kind of thing. But I think Edge just goes brand to brand, just like Brock. But Seth on Raw, not a bad idea. Seth and Big E down the road, because I think they should keep Big E on Raw, obviously, and keep the New Day with him. Don't split them up again. So Seth going back to Raw wouldn't be a bad move. But I want to see Seth and Roman too. So it's a hard call to make. But it'll be interesting to see how the draft lies. I'm excited to see it. And yeah, I mean, it's always fun. It's always fun. So we got the draft. We have Crown Jewel. Survivor Series is on the horizon. There's a lot exciting things coming about. So yeah, we'll see where things go. Looking forward to it. AEW's, ticking along. They had a really good Dynamite, I thought. I have to admit, on Wednesday, the week before Grand Slam, I thought they did a phenomenal job. I mean, Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega killed it. Was not mad at the draw at all. I think it made sense for the story. And I think they obviously will have another match. Kenny's not allowing it, but Bryan will get his match. I'm assuming at Full Gear. So we'll see where that goes. CM Punk beat Will Hobbs on Rampage, did commentary this week. So curious to see where he goes next. What's who his next feud will be. So yeah, it's exciting times. Bray Wyatt did not debut on AEW Wednesday as everybody had hoped. In Brody Lee, which they did a nice tribute throughout the night for him. In his hometown of Rochester, a lot of people were hoping that Bray Wyatt would show up, even though technically he's not contractually able, because he has the 90-day no compete. I think he has like another 30 days on it. So yeah, so we'll see where he goes from here. But a lot of exciting things lie ahead, and I'm excited for it. The wrestling world is a buzz. And one last thing, they announced that the Royal Rumble will be in St. Louis at the Dome at America Center. It's where the Rams played for 20 years. So the Royal Rumble going to a football stadium. They did baseball stadiums for a couple of years. They did Phoenix in 2019, Houston in 2020. Obviously, this year was at the Thunderdome, and now they're doing a football stadium. So I'm not sure what the configuration will be. It'll be like SummerSlam, where it wasn't like the full stadium, but like 40, 50,000. But whatever it is, it's gonna be cool. So yeah, that's exciting. St. Louis, the gateway to the West, is getting the Royal Rumble. So, yep, that we know now that it is official, and it will be in January. There was some rumblings that it would be in February because of the football season being a week longer and the Super Bowl, being a week later. But no, it's in January because they're doing it on a Saturday, like they did SummerSlam. I'm very happy about that. I like the Saturday pay-per-view. I would not be mad if they continue doing that, even though I'm a traditionalist and I like my Sunday night pay-per-views, and I do. But Saturdays do make more sense. I think Saturdays are a good call. But we shall see when they do Saturdays, when they don't. Obviously, Survivor Series is going to be on a Sunday. Extreme Rules was on a Sunday. Mania is supposed to be Sunday, but it may be two nights. Maybe Saturday and Sunday. We don't know yet for sure, but we shall see. And when we do know, I will be sure to let you know. So I want to thank everybody for joining me here on Mark's Side of the Ring. Kind of a short episode this week, but wanted to just cover all the things that were going on in the world of professional wrestling, bringing it to you, talk about it a little bit. And if you don't already, please follow TruExact Radio on all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You can hear this on the TruExact Radio page on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. I use Apple Podcasts. No plug there. But so, yeah, check it out. Check out TruExact Radio. Anywhere you go, they're all over. Also, Mark's Side of the Ring has their own Twitter account. So Mark's Side Ring, it's called, at Mark's Side Ring. Couldn't fit the in there, unfortunately. So at Mark's Side Ring. But yeah, check us out and follow, subscribe, like, do anything you could do. Check out this on YouTube as well on the TruExact Radio page. Like I said, we're all over. So give us a follow. Thank you, everybody. And until next time, we will see you later. Take care.